Hello, everyone, and welcome to Paula's Soapbox. I'm here with one of the stars of the hit web series Super Knocked Up. If you haven't seen it yet, it's about what happens when a superhero gets his arch nemesis pregnant during a one night stand. It's a great show, and I highly recommend it, so I hope you'll check it out. So it is my pleasure to welcome to the show Captain Amazing's alter ego, actor Mark Pezzula. Okay, so Super Knocked Up has about 2 million views and counting. Sorry, my dog just came in here. um, so, I mean, that's a remarkable achievement for a web series, especially. What do you think it is about this show that has resonated with so many people?
I don't know. I go back and forth, on that thing. I mean, I think it's that it's, first of all, it's different. There's not a story like it out there. Certainly a lot of superhero web series and comics and all sorts of. The superhero genre is very very popular, but I don't think the story that Super Knocked Up tells has ever really been told before in the way that Jeff has told it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a huge thing. And I think people just get a kick out of it,
Mm-hmm.
It's funny, and there's kind of something for everybody,
Right.
There's action, and I mean, I think it's pretty funny. Maybe not myself, but a lot of parts of the show are. And so I think it's kind of a mix of all that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I've watched it a couple of times, and I'm not really that into the superhero thing, but what I loved about the show is that he writes with such heart.
Right.
And, that's not a word, I try not to throw that word around a lot because you don't see it all the time. But yeah, I think that there's a lot of depth and a lot of heart to the story behind Super Knocked Up. It's not just a one-note superhero, villain versus superhero thing.
As well, you don't need to be a superhero fan or a fan of the superhero genre to like the show or get into it, because he started basically with the characters. The characters are where it's at. It's not really an action blockbuster. You don't, or
Right.
It doesn't concentrate on their superpowers or anything like that. It all starts with the character. And then they just happen to be superheroes.
Right.
They're not defined by their superpowers.
Right. Well, yeah, the characters are very well defined. So, it's, like you said, it's character-oriented. It's not action-oriented.
Right.
So, but there was some action. You had to work with a stunt coordinator.
Yep.
How was that? Was that the first time you had done that?
What's that? I'm sorry.
Was that the first time you had worked with a stunt coordinator?
Oh, yeah. Our stunt coordinator was David Bunce, and I didn't get to work with him as much as Jordan did, or Natalie, the actress in the first season. But I did have some days where he went over some stuff with us, and it's difficult. It is, even though I didn't do that many action sequences. The sequences he was tutoring me on were more kind of like physical comedy stuff.
Right. Like the scene in the pregnancy test scene.
Right. In the doctor's office, or there's a scene in episode 5 of the second season, which nobody's seen yet. That they had to come in and work, and yeah, it's all about timing, and sometimes it doesn't look rehearsed, but it is. You rehearse the crap out of that stuff,
Yeah.
and you come away bruised and very physically just drained. But thankfully, I didn't have to do it as much as Jordan did. Jordan was, she was a trooper.
Yeah.
But it overall was very fun.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you sustained any injuries from doing that or inflicted any.
No, mainly just, mental injuries.
Right.
As I'm getting older, I can't do as much as I used to, and I'm like, oh, man.
You feel it the next day.
Exactly. So, yeah, just feeling my age was basically the worst injury that I walked away with.
Right. So, one thing I loved about the story was that it seemed like, Captain Amazing, he has a reputation for being like a ladies' man, and of course he's got kind of a thing going on with Darcy Danger and that sort of thing. But it seems like Dark Star has gotten to him in a way that no one else has before, even before you found out she was pregnant. What do you think that is?
Why do I think she's gotten to him?
Mm-hmm.
I think because she doesn't automatically fall for him.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's not playing hard to get, but she's not just like throwing herself at him.
Right.
And he's kind of tired of that.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of got the playboy reputation of women just falling over themselves and trying to be with him, and he doesn't. He's like, forget about that. And so she's kind of a chase, and I think he likes her personality and the way she's, she's a villain. She stands up for herself, but she's also very vulnerable at times. So he likes that.
Yeah. Okay, so you mentioned, like, in your emails and from the research that I did, that you are a husband and you have a stepson. Did that help you prepare for this role?
I actually took this role before I got married and met my stepson, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm sorry, that was your question. Was that your question?
If it helped you prepare for the role.
Yeah, no, maybe.
Or if you could use it in the role after you got started.
The second season I could, because that's after I started dating and seeing my stepson. Yeah, I guess they did. I never thought about it that way, but I guess they did in a roundabout way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that worked out well then.
Exactly.
Timing wise. So is your stepson, is he into the superhero thing at all?
He is kind of.
Mm-hmm.
He's 5, and I think he likes the idea of superheroes more than he likes to, like, he's not really a big TV watcher or comic reader or anything at this point.
Right.
But he'll, like, see Spider-Man and get real excited. He dressed up as Spider-Man for one Halloween, and he has a Superman towel that's like a cape, it's like a hood and a cape that you put on after the bath. So he's slowly, like, getting into it, but he's not totally, like, on board. He doesn't really understand.
As he gets older, he'll probably...
Yeah, and it's hard nowadays because there's so many different variations of, like, the superheroes, Like, I was showing him Batman the other day, and it's kind of hard for him to really get that there was, the older Batman, the Batman comic books. There's the Christopher Nolan Batman. There's Tim Burton. So he's, like, really, like, trying to understand that part of it.
Batman has been redone a lot. I know you said that you were never, like, a comic book aficionado when you were growing up. Has that changed since you started doing this show?
I've definitely read more comics as I started doing the show, but that was more had to do with my brother. My brother's a huge comic fan. He's also a writer. Check out his stuff, Joe Pezzula. He's written a couple comic books. Where the Witches Lurk. He's got one out right now called Insanity, Arizona. And so he has been really, like, pimping a lot of comics out to me. Basically, like, the classics that I, should have been reading all these years.
Right.
The Dark Knight, Returns, Frank Miller, The Killing Joke, Alan Moore. He just recommended an X-Men comic book to me that I read the other day. So basically it has more to do with him kind of, like, forcing this stuff on me and being like, you really should read this stuff.
Right.
But I can't say that I'm really, like, a aficionado still. It's going to take a long time.
But you've gained a more of an appreciation for the...
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I can see why people get so attached and enjoy these things so much. I'm a huge movie fan. Like, I watch more movies than I read comics. So, and there's, a lot of movies I'm attached to and characters, and it's the exact same thing. It's just sometimes I'm way too lazy to read, and that's my own personal problem that I need to get over. But yeah, I can definitely see why people love these things so much.
So, is it true that when Jeff approached you with this role, that you didn't think that you were right for the part?
Yeah, at first I was flattered that Jeff asked me, but then I was like, I don't have the physique to play a superhero, and that's I'm not trying to beat myself up or anything, but that's just the way it is. Like superheroes, you have something in your mind and the way a superhero looks. And I just said, look, Jeff, I don't go to the gym, I don't work out, I'm lazy, I drink too much beer, I eat too many chips, I'm gonna look like a fool. And I play a superhero, and he said, no, you know what, I'm not asking you because of that, I'm asking you because I appreciate your acting, and so that's all, then I was like, okay.
Yeah. Well, and it works that, maybe the characters are not what you would think of as being superheroes.
Sure.
Because you want them to be real, obviously.
Right.
And relatable, and who can relate to, the quintessential superhero stereotype or whatever. So.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, it would be a totally different show if, like, Chris Hemsworth was, Captain Amazing.
Right.
Or, like, you know what I mean? Like somebody that was jacked like that. Yeah, absolutely. It'd be much harder for people to relate to. So that's a great point.
Yeah. Is it true that you had auditioned for Jeff for an earlier project and got rejected?
Yeah, he turned me down. He turned me flat down. Back when I originally got into acting, as a hobby, because before that I just did behind the scenes stuff. And one day I was just like, well, let me try some acting, let me audition, and I had done behind the scenes on Jeff's films, short films.
Yeah.
And so he was casting for this one role, and I was like, let me go try it, and I did, and yeah, he did not accept me, but I actually ended up getting another acting gig in a short film based on the audition I did for him. Somebody else saw it who was looking to cast, and they called me and wanted me to be in their film. So if I hadn't done that audition, I might not have gotten acting as a hobby and ended up getting this. So.
Right. And now you're the star of this hugely popular web series.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. Crazy the way it works out.
Right. So has doing this and doing the behind the scenes stuff, has any of that made you want to maybe create your own web series at some point or work on another one?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to. I would love to with some. I mean, it's easiest for me right now to concentrate on like writing. Acting and like directing would just be way too tough. I work a full-time job and just being married and with a son. I'm not one of those people that can like. Unfortunately, I wish I was. That can like put all that aside and like work like 80 hours a week on a web series
and never sleep.
Yeah, exactly. I just can't do that. But yeah, eventually, like, I would love to write one or, act in another one or get more into it. But I think, writing would be where it's at right now. It's easiest for me to do that. I have ideas. It's just a matter of, not being lazy.
Right. Staying motivated and inspired.
Exactly. Exactly. But doing the web series has definitely given me a newfound appreciation for it. Not even newfound. Like, I have no idea really what web series were before I did this. Like, I wasn't really, I was conscious of them. I just didn't.
Yeah. Well, it's still a fairly new medium. So, it's still in the growing stages, I think. So, when I asked Jeff about doing a third season, he wasn't sure that there would be a third season.
Yeah.
So, without giving away the season 2 finale, if the show did continue, what would you want to happen with your character?
Well, I'd like to see Michael Masters become the focus of the show, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? Forget Dark Star. Who needs her?
Right.
What I would like to see for season 3, if we did one, I would like to see more of the, you know what, Jeff's going to kill me because I forgot the group that Michael Masters is the leader of the Guardians.
Oh yeah. If you hadn't mentioned it, I would have remembered it.
Sorry, Jeff. I apologize.
Guardians of Justice. Is that it?
Yeah, that's not it.
That's not it?
That's it. I don't know much about my own show.
I can't remember.
No, but I would like to see more about
I've watched it a couple of times and I don't remember.
Yeah. It's been so long since we shot season 2, like I just can't remember. But I would like to see more of them, and more of the villains interacting. And I think that would be. You'll see at the end of season 2 why I would like to see that.
Oh, okay. You got sick on the filming of the second episode. So can you eat pancakes now, or is that?
I can probably eat pancakes now. But yeah, for anybody who hasn't seen it, my character eats a ton of pancakes in one. Well, he eats pancakes very fast. He actually doesn't eat a ton of pancakes. I had to eat a ton of pancakes to actually film the scene. And like an idiot, I was eating during like rehearsals, and when we went to film, I was just crazy sick.
I bet. If you ate them during rehearsal and then during filming.
Yeah. That's the mark of an inexperienced actor. You don't actually have to eat when you're
right. You just pretend. You just act like you're eating. Speaking of your acting, you were an extra in Steven Spielberg's War of the Worlds. How was that? That must have been an experience.
It was awesome.
It
was the best nights of my life. It was a hard night, but it was one of the best nights of my life. Me and my buddy John, one of my really good friends, who we always said, because we love Steven Spielberg, and we're always like, oh man, wouldn't it be awesome to be in a Spielberg movie? And we actually got blown up by aliens in a Steven Spielberg movie. So yeah, it's a scene where everybody's trying to get to this boat, and they're walking. Tom Cruise and his family are walking down this street, and then the aliens come, and everybody rushes the ferry, and it drives away, and you see the aliens just destroy this city. So I guess we were the ones that got
blown up. Yeah.
But it was really, really fun.
I bet. And not everyone. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, if anybody ever gets a chance to be an extra in a movie, especially in a movie like that, like an action movie, because it's fun. It's a long day, but it's fun.
Right. Well, and, not everyone can say that they were in a Spielberg movie. Right. So, I mean, you've got that no matter what. Like, yeah, I did a Steven Spielberg movie. So. Yeah. I noticed something in the show. Captain Amazing's father was only mentioned once. They named the baby after him. So, if they added him to the show, what actor would you want to play your father?
That's a good question. That is a great question. And you know why it's great? Because I can't think of one right now. But let me... Right now I'm a huge Michael Fassbender fan, but I don't think he's old enough to play my dad. I'm going to go... Who's an older actor? Oh, man. Was that your last question, or can we come back to that?
No, I can come back to that.
Let's come back to that one.
So were some of the scenes from season 1, were they shot in your apartment, actually?
Yeah. Everything that's in Michael Masters' apartment was in my apartment that I lived in at the time we shot it.
Right. How did that disrupt your life?
It actually didn't too much, because the days that we were shooting in my apartment would have been days that I would have been shooting anyway.
Oh.
So, I mean, yeah, but there was a little... After it wrapped up, I just couldn't go home, and, after shooting wrapped up, I couldn't go home and ignore everybody, that I had to, after it wrapped, I had to sit there and try to go to bed with people, still in my apartment, moving equipment and stuff like that. But it wasn't really it wasn't a huge deal. My neighbors weren't really happy.
I bet.
But
yeah.
Whatever.
Well, before we get back to the last question of who did you think that your your father should play. Is there anything that you want to add about the show, like maybe for people who haven't seen it?
Yeah, I mean, if you haven't seen Super Knocked Up, I don't think I actually said what it was about. Although you were going to do that in the introduction.
Right.
Already done.
Yeah. Got that taken care of.
Smart. See, I would have done that. That's why I don't run these things.
Yeah.
I don't think stuff like that. I would say if anybody hasn't seen it and they would like to check it out, it doesnn't take long. The episodes are 5 to 7 minutes long at the most.
Right.
And I think it's really fun. It's for all people, all ages, although I'd say PG-13.
Right.
Big deal. And just give it a shot. And maybe if you don't like Super Knocked Up, there's a ton of web series out there that you'll find one that you enjoy.
Yeah. Well, I loved it. I've watched it a couple of times, and like you said, it doesn't take long. I think a lot of people think, oh, well, I'm already behind 2 seasons, and you think 2 seasons is like 15 minutes an episode, and it's not like that with web series. It's very fast-paced, and, 5 minutes an episode. It doesn't take long at all.
You could watch the first season and then the first 4 episodes of this second season in less than like 40 minutes.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't take long at all. So, do you know who you would like to play your father?
You know what?
You're still thinking?
But I looked at, my brother got me a Shaun of the Dead poster for my birthday a while ago. You know what? I know he's not much older than me, but I'm going to say Simon Pegg. Maybe he could play him in flashbacks.
Yeah. That's actually pretty good. Yeah.
and again, I know he's not that much older than me. I think I'm 33. I think he's only 40 something. But
yeah,
could age him up a little bit.
Right. And like you said, flashback scenes.
Right.
We're assuming that he has superpowers too. So. Right. Okay. Well, Mark Pezzula, the show is Super Knocked Up. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you for having me on.
Oh, absolutely, my pleasure. Bye-bye.